You ready to? That's exactly. You took the words out of my mouth there, Mike. Thank you very much.
You're
So,
welcome.
so welcome everyone. And just before we kick off, just want to remind you all that this is not an AA meeting. It's just one member's take on the exact nature of the wrong as described on page 64 of the AA Big Book and the solution of the 12 steps. Now, just a reminder that this meeting is being recorded and it's also being streamed live on Facebook. Also, please, just to let you know, this is not an all-share meeting. Rather, it's a Q&A to get Paul's take on the steps. So if you've got any questions while you're here in this Zoom room, or you're on Facebook and you're watching, just whack your questions in, type them in, or you can send a question to me or raise your hand in the participants column and we will get your question to Paul. So I'm going to start off as we do with the read. Oh, just to remind you, if you've never been here before, you can find all of Paul's videos, his audio, his documents, and those fabulous T-shirts, and his book Under Arrest at his website, which is zenbitchlap.com. So here's the passage today, is from page 25. There is a solution. There is a solution. Almost none of us like the self-searching, the leveling of our pride, the confession of shortcomings, which the process requires for its successful consummation. But we saw that it really worked in others, and we had come to believe in the hopelessness and futility of life as we had been living it. When, therefore, we were approached by those in whom the problem had been solved, there was nothing left for us but to pick up the simple kit of spiritual tools laid at our feet. We had found much of heaven, and we had been rocketed into a fourth dimension of existence of which we had not even dreamed. The great fact is just this and nothing less, that we have had deep and effective spiritual experiences, which have revolutionized our whole attitude toward life, toward our fellows, and towards God's universe. The central fact of our lives today is the absolute certainty that our Creator has entered our hearts and lives in a way which is indeed miraculous. He has commenced to accomplish these things for us, which we could never do ourselves. And with that, I'll hand it over to Paul. Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, everybody. Paul Alcoholic. First off, I wanted to share that we have a regular Saturday meeting on another topic. That's not going to happen this Saturday. I have to do a AA event thing. So I don't have to. It's a privilege, really. So there is a solution. There you go. I mean, that's an incredible boundary line between hopeless state of mind and body and seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. Yeah. There is a solution. Then the hopeless state of mind and body can be seen as a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. It's quite a lot based on our condition, not its condition. So, again, we come to believe, he talks about some of the working steps. And what's going to happen is it's going to be, well, he says, a deep and effective spiritual experience. Most people, when they read that, they go to the appendix, which describes, because a lot of people got confused when Bill W. shared his, sudden light experience. They thought that was the only way it should demonstrate, and therefore any other way was not noticed or appreciated. And so they had to open that up and make it clear. Yeah. So, yeah, it's just, there's so many beautiful readings. So, and the idea that the central factor of our lives today is the absolute certainty that our Creator has entered into our hearts and lives in a way which is indeed miraculous. You may find fault in the wording or whatever, but the fact is that unsuspected resource is now quite assured. Yeah, something that wasn't playing seemingly much influence on our life now is the most influential aspect of our lives. And I think how the life is going has a lot to do with that shift. And I like the way it says in the fear inventory, perhaps there's a better way, trusting something infinite rather than finite self. So I believe that's sort of the migration that we're in. and we're leaving a failed system and are now relying on a working system. And therefore, it's sort of like the plant really demonstrates the condition of the soil, the water, the light, and the pot more than itself. So if it is a rose plant no matter what, but its rosiness is really determined by the pot, how much sun it gets, the soil, and the water. So in a way, we are something, but that something's fruition or expression is going to be dependent on the conditions it's living in. And now we're not living in a condition of of base anxiety because we're trusting something that isn't worthy of trust, obviously, and we followed its directions and we've ended up in places we didn't want to go. So we're really in a bind because the thing that we're relying on, we're identified as. So it's difficult to rely on something else without truly seeing the act of being identified on that you used to rely on. Because then when you attempt to rely on something else, it will be a reliance on that self. Yes? Do you see that? It's an important vision, so to speak. If I don't see the idea that self has defeated us through its manifestations, then when I attempt to trust the infinite, I'm actually trusting the finite self to do that. Yeah. And so there's a lot of people see the statement, all right, obviously trusting the finite self hasn't worked. Now I'm going to trust the infinite. And it would be beautiful if it was that simple in a way. But it's truly not, because the act of being identified is really the root of the problem. So we try to get out of self as self. Yeah. So we try to get into God as self instead of seeing you're not self and then finding out God, so to speak. And I think that's a fundamental movement that in a lot of lives goes unnoticed and creates such a freaking havoc, because then the solution can't really produce the full bloom of the rose, because the same soil came along with the new pot and the same fucking water that never quenches came with the same pot. So the rose is still, it's seemingly freed, but it's still defined by the problem, because we're in the act of being identified as the problem. So this is why we share one of the, I always say why, there's thousands of reasons, but it is an important one, because things have become clearer to some that aren't clear to many. And it's almost a responsibility for that some to share it without expecting any fucking results, or just the possibility of it being heard is the job or the seed assignment. It doesn't matter what happens, but the fact is you've heard a possibility. Yeah. Without hearing the possibility, many of us never get to that possibility. One of the ways you get there is like traumatic event or a white light experience, or you hear it. Yeah, you hear it from others, and then it finds a home in you, and then that rose can really bloom. And then you see, that something is truly doing for us what we can't do for ourselves. You know, that becomes the fundamental posture you're in. That's like dead man's pose in yoga. It's that you're just, yeah. So thanks, Dave. Thanks for the reading, and thank God there is a solution from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. If it was a hopeless state of mind and body, the only solution would have been the old trusted solution, which was to keep getting loaded, or fucking kill yourself, or get finally enough people intervening on your life and being put away somewhere, or being up in the attic or wherever, or Uncle Fred is living in the garage, something. Those would be the forms of the solution, which weren't that much of a solution. Yeah. Now there is a solution. A person who was crippled by this disease of alcoholism and live and be a free man and woman a day at a time. That's an incredible solution. And one of the effects of this solution is the problem will not exist for you. Wow, that's an incredible solution. Because if you've lived under this problem, you've hopefully realized it's been existing as you. Yeah, it has. And it will continue, drunk or not. Yeah. Without seeing self can't get out of self. So thanks.
Thanks very much, Paul. That was great and a great start off. So now I'm inviting everyone here or anyone here, if you've got a question on what Paul spoke about, or indeed a question on the 12 steps and get his take on it, then I'm inviting you to raise your hand. Otherwise, it's up to me, and I'm going to have to start off with a question. And it looks like it's me. So, Paul, I've been doing a lot of work on 6 and 7 over the last 6 months, and I've made a step 7 I've made it into a bit of a ritual, and really made it an important fact. I just wanted to get your take on 7, because it seems to me in the past I've perhaps glossed over it a bit. Um, for whatever reason, I've looked at it and ticked a box. But I just wanted to get your take on particularly step 7, and how you've done that, how you've actually humbly asked for those character defects to be removed.
Well, the humbly in that uh, posture is based on being convinced in the first step, and then the effects of coming to believe that something greater than us can restore us to sanity concerning that drink, and then the third step. So it's your intimation with the solution that really is the power of step 7. Because when you say I'm humble and I humbly ask that power, you've had an intimate, or you've been at the effect of that power, and you've been conscious of it. Yes, because you've been
Mm,
sober. So therefore, there's a lot of weight there. There's a lot of juice. So
mm,
and you've gone through this dance a number of times, and you know how it ends, and it ends well. So 6 and 7 is really rooted in that statement of, more will be revealed to us, and a lot of what's revealed to us are aspects of alcoholism, so we can see it's not us and bring it to step 6 and 7. My feeling. So, and really, in a way, 6 and 7 does you instead of you doing 6 and 7. So it puts you in a position that was uh, introduced through the earliest steps, and in that steps of being entirely ready, yeah,
mm,
to
mm,
have stuff reconfigured. I don't like the word remove because it means I think energy can't be created nor destroyed, and basically energy is taking form and can be reformed here. And I think that's what the higher power does. It reforms old configurations that are rooted in being tattooed by the old employer. Now we have a new employer, so it puts a new tattoo over it. They have those tattoos that supposedly clean up the mess of another tattoo you had. Well, it's sort of like, to me, that's 6 and 7. So the energy gets reconfigured, and instead of reinforcing an enslavement, it enriches your day. Yeah. So, and when you're enriched, others are enriched. That's how it goes, I feel, because you
mhm.
have it by giving it away. Yeah. So, uh, yeah, that's how I see it.
Okay.
And 6 and 7 is, I like doing them at recovery meetings when I used to go to live ones. I haven't been to a new. They've started up here, but I haven't been to one yet. Some. And I found, because you hear a lot about alcoholism, even though the person thinks you're hearing about them, you're mostly hearing about alcoholism. Shares. So then you bring it to step 6 and 7 there. There's a lot of energy there because that loving power is expressing itself through our group conscience. So there's more juice than the individual parts, I feel. at a meeting. So yeah, but
Okay.
yeah, some more. Well, then you bring that to 6 and 7. And it's sort of like, do you stay up all night, praying and hoping and having a lot of anxiety that the
Oh,
because you're in the habit of knowing the garbage man comes every Wednesday. So all your job is to put it out. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
That's the spirit of it. Yeah, I
Okay.
understand. And then go over each article as it's being taken away by the garbage man, going, "No, I'd like that back." No, you have a role, and it ends at you ask that power to remove it or reconfigure it. That's it. Your job's done then. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Thanks. Oh, that's really great. Thank you very much. So, Jacob's got his hand up. Before I go to him, just to remind everyone, just get your hand up. We are we're open to any question. Doesn't matter what kind of question it is about recovery. Then just raise your hand up. There's no question that's too stupid unless you're me. So please raise your hand.
Dave, let me say about entirely.
Yep.
Entirely is an effect of the previous steps, obviously. By
Hmm.
working the first 5 steps, uh, even though you don't believe it or not, you're entirely ready to have the shit removed. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So the entirely ready is like a crescendo of the first 5 steps, so to speak.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and when your head, if you're waiting for your head to tell you're entirely ready, don't. Just assume you are and then do steps 6 and 7. You don't have to, find out if it's true or not because in a way, we're infected with something that causes us not to be able to see clear between true and false. Yeah. So the condition your head is telling you you're in may not be the condition you're in. Yeah. So
Hmm.
I'm not ready. Well, I don't know that about that. You've done the first 5 steps. I think you are ready. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talks to us as us, the disease. Yeah. So it proclaims that we're not ready. We have faith in that. Yeah. And therefore we don't do step 7. We just, oh, I'm not ready to have the shit removed. Who's telling you that? What's telling you that? Isn't it the head? And isn't that where the problem resides?
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't it? Really? It is.
Mm.
If you take everything it says to be true, you're really in the act of being identified as self because you're having faith in it instead of the infinite. Basically. Oh, I don't think so. Well, if you're believing the thoughts about your condition, well, you are because let the power tell you what your condition is. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
It's like the idea of you have to have it to give it away. I'm not a believer in that. I believe if you're willing to give it away, you have it. Yeah,
Ah. Mm.
that's the attitude I've experienced in this life. I believe I showed up with absolutely no qualifications, yeah, to participate in some role in recovery, and something came through all the fucking time. Yeah, so it wasn't like I had to fulfill a resume to be worthy of that position. As long as there was willingness, I was going to be used. Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
by this new employer. I feel, yeah, ready or not. I don't say you're ready and willing. I think it's willing and then you're ready. Yeah, I do. I don't know about your experience, but that's mine in the program. If you're waiting to have it, who's going to tell you if you have it? The problem.
Mm.
Who can trust that report? You have it by giving it away. So are you ever in the act of having it? No, because the act of having it is giving it away. Yeah.
Mm, mm,
Does how you have light or does light shine? Light shine. Yeah. You don't have the light. The having of the light is when it's shining out. Yeah. Far out. Yeah. You have light by giving it away, so to speak.
mm, mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Just one insane member of recovery sharing, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. So, Jacob, you've got a question for Paul. Good to see you, mate.
Yeah, more just wanting your thoughts on a statement that I heard recently, purportedly the words of Milarepa, where he said that suffering
Hold on.
becoming bliss.
Who
Yeah.
Miller was, because a lot of people may not know.
Oh, yeah. So Milarepa, the Tibetan monk, yeah, who purportedly attained enlightenment in one lifetime. Yeah. Um, yeah. He was saying that suffering becoming bliss feels so good that feeling bad feels good. And he was speaking of things like harrowing visions or terrifying voices, that he approaches those with a bravery that it feels good to feel bad. Like it makes him feel really good to be in those fearful situations. And that seems to be maybe an extreme of 6 and 7, and also 9, when we go out and take on these actions that otherwise we were fearful of, or that give us trepidation. uh,
Yeah.
but that just really struck me, that idea of that suffering can become bliss, or that we can approach suffering, anxiety, um, in that way. I mean, I remember being in the throes of meth psychosis, or just every single day a hallucination, or being up for multiple days, and to be able to consume those feelings with that type of zeal, or yeah, to be able to approach it with that method, um, yeah, it could have been a lifesaver. It completely transformed the experience and brought me to sobriety sooner. Um, who knows? But nonetheless, it was a curious idea, and I wanted to get your thoughts on turning suffering into bliss.
Well,
Thanks, Paul.
you don't do that, but you're here now. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So uh, I think if we, I find, uh, recovery is a process. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a process. There's 12 steps. There's stuff that happens. So a lot of times people nowadays don't want to go through a process. If the process entails feeling uncomfortable, their fear of feeling uncomfortable, as you were just saying, is so strong that they won't go through the process, which is going to allow them to get stabilized in a much better condition. They take a pill, or they do this, or they do that, yes? So
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of things that are available now allow us to jettison out of processes that are actually part of how life changes. Yeah, we want to subvert that and I just want to feel comfortable. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but a part of growth is uncomfortable. When you grow out of a pair of shoes, it's uncomfortable wearing those old shoes because your feet are too big now. Yes.
Yeah.
So the uncomfortability is an indication to get a new pair of shoes. Yeah. You may see it as a real drag. Yeah. So now you just don't go out anymore when you need to wear shoes. Yeah. So these 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 rotations of life are necessary. Just like, spring leads into summer, summer leads into fall, fall leads into winter. There's not just winter, yeah? it's a constant movement, and it's all part and parcel of something. And the head just wants to parachute out, you know? I don't want to feel any discomfort. I don't want to do fucking anything, you know? I don't want to put pen to paper. I don't want to go to that meeting. I don't want to move the chairs because for some reason we're comfortable in a very deep discomfort in a weird way. Yeah. So the idea of suffering turning into joy is the recycling event of recovery. You know, a life that you thought was worthless now is put to great use. That past that you wanted just to forget and deny and drink over, when surrendered through being recovered, yeah, is now put to great use in helping others. This is this is this isn't, you know, the whole life is like a recycling process. For us, it's the the how it occurs in our life is through recovery, through Alcoholics Anonymous. But basically, this is what life's like. You go through processes, just like the caterpillar turns, you know, the larvae caterpillar into the butterfly. It's just not like butterfly. It's a process. Yeah. Now, if you want to back off because you're afraid, as the larvae, in our case, we should question that voice because it may be the problem. It may be the alcoholism that's talking as us to us. Yeah? And it doesn't, it's trying to shield and support and reinforce its survival at the expense of ours. Yeah? Because a parasite and a host, very rarely is it a win-win situation. There's always exceptions, but in most cases, the parasite, its winning is the host losing. Yeah, that's how it goes. So I don't know what brought me to finally be willing to do what I was completely unwilling to do for years. I think it's a divine intervention. But I did the steps. I did. You know, I forced myself to sit down for an hour every Sunday to do an inventory without any understanding about how the first column was connected to the fourth column, but I tried my best. Then the process of life got me to a meeting where I heard about Joe Charlie's big book seminar, and I signed up and I went to it. And they illuminated me with their take on the fourth step. So I did it again with an understanding. And it was fucking rocket fuel. It was like, yeah, I now got it. I saw my role in things. And then by finally being at that point, I started to see something else's role in things, which is we call self. Yeah? I wasn't going to be able to see self's role unless I saw my role, because my role and self's role is all mixed up. Yeah? If I'm denying everything about my role, it's a perfect camouflage for self to dominate my life. Yeah. So I have to go through the process because what's revealed is there's something foreign in, there's something not of me that can be removed. Yes, that can be outgrown. Yeah. Yeah. So the whole point of recovery is a process. Yeah. Who wants, like it says, who wants to admit complete defeat? That's uncomfortable. Yeah, but the long-lasting uncomfortableness of a deadened life through fucking being muffled by alcoholism, fuck, that's like death by 1,000 cuts. I'd rather have it be swift, you know. I'd rather have a recognition I'm on a dead horse and get up instead of buying new saddles for it or trying to fix the old one and making up huge stories why I'm not going anywhere because I'm riding a fucking dead horse or it's riding me, really. Yeah. So, yes, I can see the picture because he knew it had worked, so therefore he felt great joy when the suffering became obvious or the craziness of the head, because then the disease was revealing itself, and then it can be removed. You see it, and you ask that power to remove it. Yeah, that would be the recycling from the suffering to the joy. I don't like bliss, the name word, but from the suffering to the contentment is the recycling of recovery. Yeah, through 6 and 7, you lessen you rely on something to lighten the imaginary load you're living under all freaking day. Yeah, and so you start traveling lighter through a Monday, through a Tuesday, through a Wednesday, through a Thursday, where you used to not travel lighter through a Monday or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And that lightness accumulates, yeah, and it grows bigger, and you can enjoy peace of mind. You get established in like a sense of satisfaction and a contentment, not driven all day by a fucking pang of of fucking unrequited desires. But no, you're just chilled out and you're sort of cool about it. Yeah. Man, what a transformation. So, yeah. And the thing is, the process of dying when you're not dead, which to me is the act, the, the effects of untreated alcoholism, you're pretty much dying vertically. Yeah. You're in like a vertical coffin. So, I mean, that is, that's a long, dragged out affair, man. Fuck. That's what it says about you've realized what we just read here. What was it? Yeah. He says it very important. Oh, but we saw that it really worked in others, and we had come to believe in the hopelessness and futility of life as we had been living it. Yes, that's being convinced. That's a primary importance. That statement. Yeah, we had come to believe in the hopelessness and futility of life as we had been living it. Yes.
Mhm.
Thank God this we can live in different ways. Basically, you could say AA sees it in two options. Or like Jesus supposedly said, you can't serve two masters at the same time. Or in the Indian thing, there's two wolves. The 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 stronger wolf it will be the one you feed it. These are saying the same thing, that hey, trusting something infinite rather than finite self. Yeah, that's basically how it's going. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the processes are working to reinforce and break out of the gravitational pull of self and enter the gravitational pull of the infinite. Yes, that's the process. Have you ever gotten into, like, have you ever gone fast and then you get behind something that's going fast and there's what do they call it, a drag? You get pulled by the momentum of that car in front of you, yes?
Yeah.
Pulls you. You're not even touching the gas anymore.
Especially
That's
in a
a
boat.
lot of recovery. That's what it's like as you get more into it. Truly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something's pulling you. Something is pulling you. Something is bringing shit out of you that you may not even know is available. So, yeah, trust the process. Yeah. Learn that you can face life successfully by just facing life. That's how you're going to learn. You know what I mean? Instead of taking a pill to avoid the what you think is going to be a lot of discomfort by doing an inventory, you just say no to the pill and you do the writing, and you share it with another person, and voila, you realize you were completely wrong, like usual, and you feel a whole lot better. How many times, how many examples will you need? I don't know. But this program works, so you're going to get examples of it's working, and hopefully, the resistance will weaken. I don't know. Yeah.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks.
Cheers, Jacob. Good to see you, mate. Thanks for everything you're doing with this group, by the way, as well. Lisa Gray, you got a question?
I do. I think you might have kind of answered it a little bit, but this is my first time in the group, and I love it. I love everything that you're saying and taking notes really quickly. Anyway, when with your opening, you talked about the spiritual awakening and being in the pot, which I was wondering if you could kind of expound on that a little bit, where spiritual awakening versus enlightenment coming from inside or outside, because you mentioned, you hear it, or because I'm thinking about enlightenment, you hear it or you experience it is kind of what you said, and I thought maybe you could kind of like pull that out for me a little bit.
Well, let's not go anywhere near enlightenment. Yeah,
Okay, let's just stay with spiritual awakening.
Yeah, let's just say, let's call it a psychic change or a personality shift. Sometimes
I like
awakening has too much meaning now, if you've read a lot of books and shit. So basically, I feel we're already awake, but we're not in the awareness of that, so to speak. Yeah, because we're up the ass of self. So
I love
we're not, but there's an obsession with a narrative that precludes our original condition to be obvious. Yeah, your obsession with the imagery of Paul precludes what you are to be underappreciated. Yeah, because there has to be an emphasis in what you're not for it to appear to be you. It demands a lot of, let's say, energy, because it's trying to manufacture an imaginary thing. So there's a lot of work. Now, underlying that is awareness. Yeah, you would say that's the essence of awakening, is being aware. Yeah, so we are being aware right now. We may be being aware of a lot of mental ideas and thoughts, which is sort of seemingly to cause our aperture to be really, really closed down into obsessing over this idea of Paul. Yeah, so we're missing the panoramic view, or as they say, we're missing the forest from the idea tree, so to speak. Yeah, yeah. So that to me is the basis of awakening. The spiritual awakening becomes obvious when the mental states are diminished. Yeah, that's what the program does, really. Yeah, you're right-sized. All these ways. One of the first effects they talk about in the third step is you'll lose interest in self. That's basically the drive. And self, where does self reside in the mind? Yeah. So, to me, the spiritual awakening is more about what's undone than any doing of spirituality. Yeah.
yeah, that makes
Some mental knots are undone, and then the spirit becomes obvious. Yeah. Not to you, but as you.
yeah.
So that for me is that. And then what were we talking about? The enlightenment is, there's just too many landmines around that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't worry about enlightenment, will take care of itself. Yeah. You wouldn't know if it ran you over like a truck, probably. There wouldn't be anyone left to know shit, in a sense. There'll be a loss of interest in it, and you will truly be on a need to know level. And anything that's on the need to know level cannot have any idea of enlightenment. Tons of ideas, none of them are close to any kind of clarity about the topic. So we should just move on and realize that something's going to shift no matter what you want to call. And in that shift, what used to be underemphasized will be more emphasized. And that's the ability to travel lighter. Yeah. Because our nature is not of thingness, or we're not a mental ideation. We're awareness. We're not of a 6'2" body frame. We're of no thing. Yeah. Yeah. So that doesn't have to be found. That doesn't have to be acquired or polished. It's there, bright as ever. What needs to be done is the one that thinks has to polish it has to be dismissed. Yeah. And it can't dismiss itself. That's the furthering of its job position. Yeah. Self can't get out of self. So just remember that. It's going to mean a whole lot to you through this process, really. Self can get out of self is an incredible, it's more will come out of that statement when you live it than books, 800-page books. That one little self can get out of self is like an incredible knockout punch. Yeah? And you'll just stay on the canvas and won't get up. And things get a whole lot different. So, yeah. And what were we talking about, the experience and stuff? I got lost somewhere about the first.
I was thinking about the pot, the rose in the pot.
Oh, yes. All right. So here's the potential of the rose is to bloom, yes?
Mm-hmm.
It's fulfilling that potential isn't truly based on the rose. It's based on the conditions it lives under, yeah? Because its condition is based on other conditions. Yeah, you have to have the good soil. You got to have sunlight, water. I see in my area where I live, we have a big yard. So the landlady, and when they were living here, they put an irrigation system in. And the plants that are under the irrigation system are doing a lot better than the plants that are under me watering them. Because I forget or I give them too much. And some of these cactus around here are going off, and I haven't watered them in years because they're getting watered by a system, by a process, yes?
Mm-hmm.
That does a better job with it than I do. So here's the rose. Let's say you're a rose, honey, and that rose is comparing itself to other rose bushes and feeling very inadequate, or I'm never blooming, or some other bullshit coming from self-centeredness. And yet that rose bush, if put in the right pot and with the right light, it's going to bloom. Yeah, that yeah, it was there. It just needs the right conditions. Or you can look at it as a petri dish. We've been living in an petri dish, and we do better in an alkaline petri dish. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the program is sort of moving us out of the acidic petri dish into the alkaline petri dish. And some qualities thrive in the alkaline petri dish, which is surrender, humility, service, empathy, compassion, thinking of others, which they can't live a day in the acidic petri dish. And what lived in the acidic petri dish can't thrive in the alkaline. So fucking 40-year-old resentments, vindictiveness, vendettas, shit like that, they don't really thrive in the alkaline petri dish. Yes? Yeah. I hope that paints a picture. So.
Okay. Thanks very much, Lisa. Now, Oliver in Berlin, how about you?
Hello, good day, everyone. My question is about how is selfing a foreign activity, which is most of the time when I hear it easy.
A foreign activity.
You're going to have to
Isn't a foreign activity. The
Can you
idea.
speak up a bit, Oliver, as well? Just speak a bit closer, mate, please, if that's okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Selfing isn't a foreign activity. What we arrive at, the idea of self, is how I view the foreign activity. And it's basically just to produce an emphasis or an imagery, yes? But selfing is just a brain activity, yeah?
Also, I might have understood a little bit, wrong here, but I'm having kind of difficulties going from, verbing to nouning and back because of, I guess, the perception of selfing, you describe it sometimes as a parasite activity, right? So something that definitely is not a good idea to identify with, you know. And I can get that, I can understand that, but on the other hand, sometimes I get the feeling that I am making too big of an enemy out of selfing and kind of bedevil the whole thing, while at the same time it's a integral part of my, you know, everyday life experience, and it kind of doesn't feel good. It almost makes me want to go a little bit into announcing and just accept it as a part of myself in order to, you know, just have some
Well,
sort of
yeah, you
relief.
can do that too. You can do that too, but if there's an attention on that activity that precludes that you're something you're not, it needs to be emphasized so there can be a seeing of that. It's not about making it the enemy or the culprit. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Just
I would say
noticing that it's sort of like a God of the Old Testament. It's a jealous God. So it's gulping down way too much attention and interest, and it gets obsessed with itself and it's very exclusive. It doesn't include any other possibilities. So that's why we paint it with a broad stroke so you can see it. Yeah. Of course, there isn't a parasite. It's just an imagery so that instead of taking this whole thing as you, when it's 80% this activity of selfing, you may recognize that little aspect and have a more balanced distribution of interest and attention. Yeah. Because it's not going to lead you to that. It isn't. It's just going to soak up more and more. Yeah. So I'm not saying it's a parasite. It has a parasitical nature in a way. Yeah.
yeah.
It wants you to be that. Yeah. It doesn't see you as anything other than that. Yeah. So if you're relying on that view, it's a pretty myopic view. Yeah. Yeah. It will try to become spiritual, but as that. Yeah. It won't say it's spirit. No, it doesn't, because it's always whatever it comes in contact with, it's using it to refer back to as that. You know, I am become spiritual. I am becoming spiritual as this. Yes. Yeah. So because of the lack of balance, we tempt to paint it in a contrast. Yeah. I don't live as if it's an enemy. I just it's accepted for what it is.
Those were my words, to be, you
What?
know, precise. Um, but it's very interesting how you put it, you know, but I guess that's the feeling that I get when you say it wants you to think or believe this and that. Then I get a kind of, I guess, you know, very cautious and careful feeling about it, you know, and that's why I guess,
Maybe you
called it
should.
an, for instance, and use this word, the bedevilment of it and stuff, you know, because, you know,
This is just a phase, yeah?
mhm,
It doesn't stay that way. Just like
mhm,
when you come into recovery, maybe you're in recovery based on the fear of what's happened to you when you drink.
mhm,
But so you're maybe open to be sort of in a boot camp of recovery, but you don't live for 10 years in a boot camp, yeah? You start you're not your recovery isn't determined on trying to move away from fear. You're now moving towards something. Yes.
mhm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it definitely does feel like that, and you know, when that's why I like listening to you. That's why I listen to some old ones on a YouTube channel, and I really do get something out of it. I wouldn't do it just, you know, because I don't know. I want to get some answers right here, right now, and you know, I don't want to do anything by myself. But I really do get something out of it, and um, what you don't like using, or you are not using, for instance, the term body mind. Is that, you know, the reason, because of your description of selfing activity, you don't find it necessary, or?
Well, I try to. This is a recovery, so we try to speak about. We try to use the word self.
Mhm.
In the
Right.
other in the other talks we give, we don't use use it self. We call selfing, yeah, because there isn't a self. But because in AA, self represents a profound aspect a lot of the time, like in that statement, being convinced that self manifested in various ways is what has defeated us. If they would have said being convinced the identification as the body mind manifested in various ways, well, I would use that. But because of the word self in the book, and we're speaking in the frame of recovery, we use the word self. Yeah.
Okay, that's clear. Yeah. Thank you.
But to me, the selfing is of mind. The body is used to represent the act of claiming a lot of stuff. So when the thought system and the hearing of the narration is going on, when something implies you, it's pictured as a body. Yeah. In the system, the mental system, when any part of the system implies or infers to the idea of you, the imagery is of a body. That's how, you know what I mean? In other words, you could, let's say you're reading a book and then a word showed up and then it would say on page 88, what is that? That's what that word inferred. Well, we're always being referred to page 88, so to speak, by the mental narration. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's
see,
what I
it
often
doesn't
do.
go
I
directly
feel like
to
I
the
need a lot
body.
of visualizing, you know.
It doesn't go directly to the body. It goes to the doer, the thinker, the feeler, the taster, the toucher, by claiming, doing, thinking, feeling, tasting, touching. And the second aspect of claiming to be the doer is the inferring that the doer is this body, or the thinker is this body, or the seer is this body. Yeah? Oliver? Yeah?
Yes, yes, I'm here.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's sort of need of a brain to materialize or visualize things, you know, in order
exactly.
to
It's because
conceptualize.
imagery is imagery is another level of communication. Yeah. When something can be said and it provokes an image, that's on another level of communication.
Right.
Yeah. And so the head is using imagery. And so when you're chanting, you're not a body, it's held as a body doing that. Yeah. You see how, in a way, self defeating it can be?
Okay. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. You always get me going, which is good.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks very much, Oliver. That was great. Now, Stefan, you had your hand up. Stefan Reed, I think. Do you want to ask a question? You're more than happy if you wave your hands. I can unmute you there, but you've
Definitely.
lowered your hand.
Yes.
Sorry, mate. Stefan, did you have your hand up? I'm asking you to unmute.
Oh yeah, I think it's been I think it's been answered. I just it's an interesting noticing how the miracle of life can be seemingly reduced or equated into a mentated realm.
Yes.
I swear to God, that's the it's almost like a trance. It's a human soul gets tranced into believing falsely that the miracle of their soul aliving life can somehow be reduced or equated into a mentated realm, and the character that rides the horse in the mentated realm is them. It is not.
Yes.
The character in the mentated realm that rides the horse is not us. And it's so beguiling and so powerful. But it can only exist, but the character can only exist in a mentated realm. A mentated realm where illusionary time is always in the picture. A mentated realm of back and forth. It's almost as if the impulse to get out of the head, because the pain is so great, you can't leave life. There's no place to go, but there's an illusion that one can escape into a realm of mentation as a character. And again, I don't know, for me, this is the sense of true powerlessness and how a pain could be intolerable. That character that sits in the mentated realm representing us is such a powerful illusion. The suffering would be intolerable, not to mention the loneliness would be intolerable.
Yes.
Dear God Almighty.
Well, the beauty of it in one way is it's seemingly.
Yeah.
It's seeming to be true, but it's not truth appearing, but it's appearing to be true. Yeah. And so, yeah, there is a solution. That was the beginning of the talk.
I keep this beautiful story of the Wizard of Oz keeps coming to mind. The beautiful truth always seems to be that we're always home. We're always home. Tried to jump over a rainbow, but it was never necessary.
No. It's hard if you are the rainbow, but hey. Yeah. So for you to jump over the rainbow, you need to believe you're something else. That's the mentated realm. Yeah. Yeah. But in fact, it may seem like 90 years, but it's just a feeling of time. It's illusory, truly. Yeah. And so, but I know that doesn't bring any solace when you're up the ass of self. So the up the ass of self, you need numbers of divine proctologists close by, so you can get pulled out and then come to your senses once again, and then, yeah, and hopefully tell the truth that things are in this quote unquote process of dreaming oneself out of the dreaming. There's a lot of aspects, like somebody from Brazil, I forgot his name, said the dream becomes more real as the dream, though, the dreaming. So it's beautiful. It's like you really get the HD of the dreaming, but it's based on it seeing, it's based truly on its being seen as dreaming. Because seeing it as real, we want to mute the colors. Yeah. The mental state thinks it's better for it to mute the colors. Yeah. To be concerned about, oh, this could be a lifelong depression. Yeah. And yet, fucking not be able to enjoy a nice, wonderful day. You know, it just goes so off. And it refuses to admit the failedness of the system. That admitting to the innermost self isn't in the head. Yeah. I don't feel it isn't. I don't think that the head will admit a lot of shit, but it will forget very quickly. Yeah, to be struck sober and still to be sober 33 years isn't a product of the head being convinced. It just wasn't. Yeah, so I know there's that unsuspecting resource isn't unsuspected anymore. Yeah, thank God. So thanks. It's always nice to hear from having never left.
That was, thank you very much, Stefan. We've got 2 hands have just come up, and we're sort of into the final straight. So if you can make your questions really quick, that'd be great. Ruby, first, you first.
Hi, Paul.
Hey, Ruby.
Yeah, um, when you talk about the seeing and the feeling and the hearing and the tasting and the touching and then you talk about the claiming of that, that's just helped tremendously. I was working with the gal the other day, and she had a situation that she was, I mean, she was really in this situation. It was quite a situation. And all of a sudden I just saw my mom, like she was an operator with the board. And every time the gal would claim what she was going through, you could see where it was gonna just, it would keep plugging into where she could just keep claiming it. And I thought, oh my God, that's what it looks like. So I could see how that would happen. I mean, it was very visual for me. I usually see more in pictures than I do words. So I just wanted to thank you for that, because then after she was done, she looked at me and she said, well, you sit there so stoic. She goes, what are you seeing? So I told her that, and it's just like it cracked it. So I just want to thank you so much for allowing how this can work.
Yeah, well, that's great to see you, Ruby, expressing the effects of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and then that claiming the my has just done wonders for myself and the folks that, you know, have the honor to work with. And there's 4 or 5 people here in Wichita that are really booming, and it's just Pentecostal, and I love Pentecostals. So I'll keep coming back, sweetheart. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Cheers, Ruby.
Thank you, Ruby. Yes.
Duncan, final question, mate. Over to you.
Hey, Paul. Hey, everybody. Duncan, alcoholic. So just a quick question about this idea of like being rocketed to the 4th dimension, and also, you know, sort of the way Bill T talks about his white light experience. In the big book, you know, it does, and some people within recovery sort of seem to have this experience. Some people outside of recovery, you know, in their spiritual process seem to have this experience. And that sounds like territory really close to this idea of enlightenment that we're not supposed to talk about. You know, so I'm just wondering if you had any thoughts on that idea.
Well, you know, let's say when Bill was in that white light, I would imagine he probably had the feeling that was home. So I don't believe uh, the being rocketed into the 4th dimension doesn't take any time and doesn't transit any space, because you are the 4th dimension, more so than the 3rd dimension that you're putting around in a Toyota in. My feeling. So I really feel what he was implying by the 4th dimension is our nature, and maybe we're on a vacation visa or a work visa here, or a mix of both here in the 3rd. Yeah. So in the 3rd dimension, traveling lighter has a lot of value. In the 4th dimension, you are light. Yeah. So there you go. And so that's my feeling. When I have 3 samples, there was a very strong uh, feeling that it's always been this way. Nothing ever really happened to override or to disguise this. It just was clear as day. Yeah, and it's carried with me for quite a while. Yeah, so I don't like speaking about enlightenment much because none of us know anything fucking about it. So, yeah. And knowing about it is actually a deterrent, seriously, in my view. So, uh, and my view isn't an authoritarian view. It's just Paul's view at the moment. I think the least you speak about enlightenment, the better. Tell you the truth. Yeah. So, yeah.
Very good.
I mean, yeah. It's sort of like what would happen if you spoke about LA and you were hearing it as if you were in Oklahoma, and then in the framing of being in Oklahoma, you'd come up with all these wild ideas about LA, what LA would be like. And then when you finally realize you're not in Oklahoma and you're in LA, you may be disappointed. Enlightenment may not be as great as you thought it was going to be. Maybe it's looking just like this. What? How could that be? Easily. This isn't true. So I don't know. I think there's certain topics that it's better left unsaid, really. Just humbly. Look at what awakening has done to poor people. Jesus Christ, they would have been better off if they never heard the word awakening. They would have, most of us. The head just claimed it and fucking it created another dildo to fuck you with, So, you gotta wake, you should be awake. Why aren't you awake? You need to be awake. Oh, I can't be awake. It's just crazy. It's just another mental burden out of a beautiful, mission, awakened. Yeah. Now, I believe we're all awake, but here you can seem to be awake to that, or you can seem to be asleep to that. Yeah. But that's that. There's just awakeness. I don't see there's anything else. So here in the dreaming, you can seem to be not awake to that. You can. Yeah. It can't last that long, 80, 90 years at the most. And in those 80, 90 years, you'll have tons of time that the emperor will have no clothes and the awakeness will be obvious. Yeah. But you can patch over those with like tire patches and keep on with the story. Yeah. Or you can seem to be awake to that fact and travel later and maybe have an acceptance of shit about you that you would never accept if you were on the drive to become awake. I don't know. It seems to, yeah. So,
Brilliant. All right. Thanks very
yeah.
much, Duncan. So just to remind everyone, we're here every Tuesday and Thursday. Paul has some other meetings not to do with non-duality. Those are on Wednesday and Saturday, but Saturday isn't happening this week because Paul has a prior engagement. So just to remember that it's not happening on Saturday. But remember, we're here for the 12-step recovery stuff on Tuesday and Thursday at the same time. And Paul, would you like to say your goodbyes now, mate?
Well, first, the Saturday meeting will be open in the room, and I'll try to come in. But
Oh,
I got the privilege of speaking at a big event for a guy's 30-year anniversary, and he was a early sponsee of mine, and so yeah,
nice.
I need to show up. Yeah,
Can you
so
give us the details so we can go and Zoom bomb it? Would that be all right?
there won't be any Zoom there. So
Okay.
yes, so I'll just say goodbye to everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me see. Where do we start? Okay. Okay, we got Stephen T. He's left the. Oh, there he is. Nice to see you, Stephen. There. We got Jacob. Jacob, thank you for all the thing. I made some prints of that picture. My gal may have it in the other room. She went to pick them up.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll show it to you guys on
Excellent.
Tuesday. Yeah. So we got Terry. Nice to see you. Terry's back from Maine. Yes. We got Paul, my T-shirt cohort over in the UK. Yes. We got Mike Z, the main backbone of the organization called ZenBitchSlap.com. It's a flimsy read on a sound foundation. We got Arnpour, I think. Nice to see you there. We got Kurt. Fantastic as always, Kurt. Thank you for the support. We have Tommy. Tommy's behind the screen. Rob Farr from the UK has left the building. Roman, one of the main benefactors of ZenBitSlap. Nice to see you, Roman. We got Alex, a lovely gal in the Hudson Valley. Always a pleasure. James Lebowski. James Lebowski, one of the main men of the Zoom world of ZenBitSlap. Nice to see you. Jesse, I was shown that picture of the lions. Very nice. I think it's going up on the website. Yes? Yeah, I think it's yours, isn't it? No? It's another Jesse. Oh, I gave you all the credit. That's good. Yeah. Oh, well, you'll see it. It's 4 lions. It's pretty nice. One lion's dressed up like a guru, talking to the other 3 lions. Yeah. We got Duncan. Yes. Duncan. Very good you're here, Duncan. Yeah. We got Virginia. Nice to see you. Virginia has resurfaced. Nice to see you, Virginia. Always. We got Ruby Rose. She's our ambassador at the ZenBitSlap embassy in Wichita. Very nice. We got Mike S. from Madeira. Does a lot of service in ZenBitSlap. We got Verena. I first thought she was from Amsterdam, but I've been proven wrong. It's Germany. Nice to see you. Yeah. Everything just moved. Hold on. Here we go. There you are. We've got Stefan. Thank you for your share, Stefan. Yes. Dale Lowe. See you. We got Jason W. from San Diego. Always a pleasure. Yes. Jason has now seen the perfected Jason as an act of selfing. Hallelujah. David G. He was the originator of all this stuff, these Tuesdays and Thursdays. So let's thank him. Yeah. And maybe we'll. Yeah. We got Carl. Nice to see Carl. Yeah. We got George. What? He just escaped again. Oh, there he is. There's George. We got Adam in Toronto. Nice to see Adam. We got Helen up in the Northlands of England. Nice to see you, Helen. It looks like there's a little light in there. There's some light up there. The last time I was in Norwich, it rained every day, all day, for 7 days. It's incredible. Yeah. And I'd go back if they asked me. Yeah. We got Connor from Dublin. There he is. We got Leah. She's chilling. Oh, there's Nina. Nina is there. Fantastic. Oliver gets me going. That's very nice, Oliver. Yep. Yeah. PK. Oh, he's on the boardwalk. Jesus Christ. One of my first arrests was under the boardwalk in Long Beach, Long Island. I once outran a guy, an undercover cop, when I was young, through the sand. I could feel his hand on my shoulder, but it was like the road runner. I just beeped out of there.
Yeah, I'm at Coney Island, but it's super loud, so I have to. It's crazy. It's like a sandstorm, Coney Island.
Oh yeah, I know. Coney Island's the same board design back in Long Beach. Yeah. All right, we got
Man, thank you.
All right, bro. It's good to see you. I think this is Kim. Kim N. Nice to see you, Kim. We got Vanessa from the UK. Nice to see you. Tanya from Cardenas. PK from New York, from Long Island City. We've got Maggie. Let's see who else. That's about it, I think. Hey,
Hold on.
everybody.
Oh, there you go.
What?
There you go. Can you see it?
What? Oh, yeah, there it is. We made a poster out of this. So you're going to have to sign up to see if you want one. I think I'm going to try to frame them and then sell them for an exorbitant price. So we'll see. All right, thank you. Yeah, that looks great, eh? All
We can start the meeting with it.
right, I'll see you. Adios. Bye.
Thank you, Paul.
Bye bye.
Oh, stop.